Okay, I'll go through this exercise for my house. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the search screen, and I live in Northfield Road, and fortunately I live at 25B, and there aren't very many 25Bs. So if I do a search now for my house, yes, there's only one of me. There I am, 25B Northfield Road in Christchurch. So if I click on that result, this screen that we see get thrown into is the ICP summary screen. So we've gone down from the search screen to the summary screen, and this is the one-page listing of all the key attributes. You can see possibly more if you move on to the attribute screen. It's the same information and probably a lot more information on the attribute screen. But anyway, let's see if we can answer these questions. The type of metering installation. Is it non-half hour, is it half hour, or is it prepay? So we're looking here at the type of metering information. On the summary screen. And looks like it's half hour. Okay, the next question 3B, the customer type. If we have a look at the customer type, and that's in the trader grouping of attributes, and it's called an ANZIC code. I might actually go on to I prefer looking at the attributes. So here's the trader grouping of attributes here, and we have this ANZIC code, and that stands for Australia, New Zealand Statistics Industry Code. And if you want to find out a little bit of information about this, you can obviously use Ron's spreadsheet, all the different fields of the ICP, and that will give you lots of good information. But if you want a quick way to find out that information, you can click on this little arrow at the end here, this greater than sign here, and that will take you off to something called the data dictionary. And this tells you that it's a valid code from a list of Australia and New Zealand standard industrial classification codes used by Statistics New Zealand and the Australian Bureau of Statistics. And okay, now having learnt that that's what this ANZIC code is all about, you want to go back to the screen you were on previously. The temptation is to click the back button on the browser. You've got to learn to resist not to do that. Don't do that. Instead, click on the close button, this close link here, and that will take you back to where you were previously. Now, another way that you can find out about these ANZIC codes is there's a whole pile of static data that's stored in the registry, available from the registry, and you can get that by going to the Utilities menu and down to where it says static data. And here's where you can get a whole pile of codes that are used in various parts of the system. So we click on static data, and then choose from these tables here, and the one that I want to choose is the ANSIC codes. So these are all the different industry codes. So if my ICP was for a business that was into mushroom growing, then the code that I would use would be that one there. Now there's a code that's really not part of these ANSIC codes. It's sort of an extra one here, zeros, and that's for a residential ICP. So if for the ANSIC code you see a whole pile of zeros, then you know that is just a normal residence. How do we get back to the previous screen? Close button. So here we are back there. Is there any unmetered load? Well, having a look at this unmetered load flag here, it says no, there's no unmetered load. The submission type for reconciliation, here we've got the submission types for half hour and non-half hour, and the one for non-half hour has been set. And the profile, you can see what the profile is. The profile is HHR. So that must be consistent with. Okay, the next question is the certification expiry date. Now that's in this metering group of attributes here. And when you're looking at the metering group of attributes, you only see just a few of them. If you click on Show Full Details, it'll expand out to show you a wealth of detail about, and we'll be studying this when we come to the section of the course that's for MEPs. So if I click on Show Full Details, there's now lots more information in different, there's a hierarchy. There's level 2 is the installations. Now you could have more than one installation theoretically. So for instance, if you're a dairy farm, you might have one load of metering devices for the farmhouse and another load of metering devices at the milk shed. So they would be separate installations, separate different locations for the metering installations. Now, when you're working with a particular installation, when you go down to level 3, you'll see all the different meters and load control devices and other things. And then you can look at the channels on the meters at level 4. But here we can see that the certification date, the expiry date, is 23rd of February 2024. So it's been certified by an ATH, authorized test house, and that's when it will expire. The tariffs invoiced by the trader, where do we see that? Well, I think we have to go down to the this level 3 information. Level 4 rather, yep. And there you are, level 4. And what are we looking at here on? We're looking at the... Right, so that's inclusive. That meter is... Now, for these register content codes, if you want to see more about those register content codes, remember how we got to those? We go to Utilities, Static Data, and there'll be a table, appropriate table here of register content codes. And lots of these. And the one that I had was inclusive. Load on the register is a combination of controlled and uncontrolled loads. Back to the ICP. The ATH is VERCOM. It is VEMS. And okay, the Thank you, Ron. Now, on the history screen, we've been working our way down here. We started off on the search screen, search for ICP. We had the summary information and then the more detailed ICP attributes. Next down is the history screen. And on the history screen, we see all of the events and so on relating to that ICP. They can be filtered. If we click on the event type, you can filter it according to one of those 6 types. Like, for instance, if I wanted to just see the when an address event was entered, well, I managed to put in my address information successfully all in one go. So there's all these different groupings of attributes. And down at the bottom, the last 2 are to do with switching. Now, this one here is trader switching, retailer switching, where the ICP goes from one retailer to another retailer. And that one is MEP switching. So if I look on if I filter these events based on switching, these are the results that I see. And I can see that I've changed my ICP from one retailer to another retailer on 2 occasions, way back in 2003 and also more recently in 2011. So let's have a look at the 2011 one. And we have an NT, which is the message that starts off the switching process, and it's sent from the gaining trader to the losing trader. So the gaining trader was Genesis, and the losing trader was actually Contact Energy. So in fact, this involves 3 messages that were sent. There was the NT was sent to the registry. Contact Energy responded with an AN. And they also then completed the switch with a TN. Now the TN is an obsolete message now. Instead of TNs and TTs, we now have a combined one called CS. So we send a CS message to complete the switch these days. We have a whole module on doing switching later on in the course. Okay, so we're now going to move on to distributors, and Ron is going to give us an overview of the roles and responsibilities of distributors.